Hello and welcome. This is Lita Downs from the Center for Faculty Excellence, and I would like to welcome you to today's recording session, Virtual Faculty Strategies for Supporting Motivation of Online Doctoral Students. This session is part of the Summer 2020 National Faculty Meeting Breakout Series. And on the call today, we have Dr. Chrissy Jamison, who is the research coordinator of this project, and co-investigators, Dr. Shariza Mohammed, who is a senior core faculty here at Walden, and Dr. Kelly Torres, who is affiliated with the Chicago School of Professional Psychology. At this point, I'm going to turn things over to Dr. Jamison. Welcome. It's great to have you on the call today.
Thank you, Lita. Can you hear me okay?
I can.
Perfect, thanks. Well, thank you for joining our session today on the study that we conducted on virtual faculty strategies for supporting motivation of online doctoral students. We actually conducted an initial study last year and felt that we needed to conduct a follow-on study. So our initial study was focused on doctoral students, online doctoral students, and we focused particularly on those students who are in the dissertation phase of that program. So we surveyed students that have had varying levels of difficulty with that phase, asked them about sort of what has helped promote their motivation to help them kind of make progress. We asked them about how their chair, did or did not kind of support their motivation to continue on to make progress in their dissertation, and then, of course, ultimately graduate is the ultimate goal. So students from that previous study mentioned things like wanting to develop a positive relationship with their chair, and that would help them feel more motivated, more supported to make progress on their dissertation, and to kind of keep going when they kind of hit those pain points of the dissertation. Students mentioned that they really need to rely on the competency of their chair, particularly early on in their study when their own competency in research can be fairly low. Often our students don't have any real research experience previous to conducting their dissertation. So, feelings of competency can really vary for our students. So they're really relying on their chair to really help them feel like the chair has that competency and can support them in that way until the student's competency in research can be increased and really grow to where the student really has confidence in their own competency and research skills. So the results of that study led us to realize that we really need to ask virtual online faculty about how they support their doctoral students. So as part of our literature review, we looked at how online doctoral mentoring can be a lot of different things, and anything from advising to encouraging, promoting, and really mentoring that student to help them stay motivated, particularly in the dissertation phase where that can really be a challenge and there's a lot of pain points that the students maybe don't expect and can really struggle, and it's sort of self-driven, they're not in a regular course, so it can be really challenging, particularly in that phase. So the purpose of the study was to investigate some of the strategies that our virtual faculty use to support their online doctoral students. We focused on faculty who are chairs and serve as a chair role on dissertation committees. The faculty could also serve on committees on other roles as well. That was fine, as long as they did serve as a chair for at least one doctoral student. Then they met the criteria to participate in the study. And we just wanted to ask about what they do to support their students' motivation to continue in the program, particularly in this dissertation phase, which can be very challenging, and then of course ultimately graduate. The framework we used was DC and Ryan's self-determination theory, which is really based on the idea of promoting intrinsic motivation, that these three concepts of autonomy, which is really your kind of feeling like you have some choice in things, along with competency that I was mentioning earlier, really feeling like you have the skills to do something. And then the other construct in this theory is relationships. So the importance of building that relationships, that feeling of connectedness, and that will help sort of drive this intrinsic motivation to kind of carry on in this particular relationship between the student and the chair. So our research questions were as follows here. How do virtual faculty support their students' motivation, particularly in the construct areas of autonomy, competence, and that relationship piece? And our second research question really developed the more that we were reading literature in this area about acting as a mentor. And we found that not all faculty necessarily see themselves as a mentor, but literature kind of shows that if faculty sort of take on that role and kind of consider themselves more as a mentor, then oftentimes they do can offer more supportive strategies to really support their students' motivation to continue on, particularly in the phase of dissertation where it can be pretty challenging for students. Our methodology was a case study, and we surveyed faculty at 2 different institutions. Institution A was a large private for-profit online university. Institution B was a nonprofit institution that has on-ground campuses, but also on online campus. But regardless of the institution, the criteria was that the faculty had to serve as an online mentor or committee chair for online doctoral students. So for Institution A, the online survey was offered in a participant pool site, and at Institution B, the online survey was offered through an email link to a survey. So we're still just in the very early stages of analysis. We've actually just concluded our results data collection phase. So we're just kind of initially going through our analyses. But we found in our initial analysis of results that faculty mentioned things about promoting regular contact with their students, that if they haven't heard from their students in a while, they'll reach out to them, often in more synchronous type of aspects, like from the phone, or ask for a live meeting like on Skype, as opposed to just sending an email. That might be maybe the first thing they do, but if they haven't heard from the student, they're going to reach out and try to catch them on the phone, or ask to have maybe a meeting that they can have a video meeting and interact with, and really ensure that the faculty can support the student. A lot of the faculty also mentioned that they really differ their strategies depending on the individual student's needs. That they might do a series of things kind of standardly, but if a student seems like they need something a little bit different, that they're willing to do that to accommodate an individual student based on his or her needs. Some faculty mentioned things like, they might plan weekly video calls if a student needs it, but if another student does not, maybe they don't have those planned. Maybe they have monthly touch points or emails or text, kind of depending on whatever a student might mention that would be helpful for them. And that to me is really part of that relationship piece and sort of understanding your student. That would require listening to your student and talking with them and helping them understand how you can support them in this way. To me, it also is an indication of feelings of competency. As a faculty member, if you did not feel highly competent, you may not be willing to really differ your strategies. You may not be sure if you could do that or if you would be able to support a student in that way. So this differing strategies really speaks to feelings of competency, as well as understanding the importance of developing that relationship and really feeling like a supportive mentor to your student by being willing to do whatever it takes for an individual student. Faculty also mentioned things like they encourage their students, they listen to them, they help them focus on making small steps and realistic goals. For the dissertation phase particularly, there's sort of this large overall ultimate goal, which can be a little overwhelming for students. So faculty mentioned things like setting very small goals, weekly or monthly, to help really students feel like they're making progress, like they have something that they can aim for sort of in a small scale to ultimately get to that goal of graduation. Other results, faculty mentioned things like they encourage their students. Some faculty mentioned things like they act as a cheerleader, and that they really do understand how this is an important part of promoting their motivation and ultimately success for the student. This to me really speaks to this relationship piece and really understanding how you might have to differ things and really develop this trusting type of relationship with your student, so they feel like they can be open with you and talk to you about the struggles they might be having, either with their document or just in their life as well, so you can be that supportive ear and then help them to move past that and keep making progress regardless of the circumstance they might be facing. Most students, faculty rather, also mentioned that they really work hard to develop this positive relationship with their student, and that they really understand this is an important piece of motivating their students to continue on in the program. We asked faculty what they might thought or what they might think might be helpful to help them promote their mentoring skills, because some varied in terms of their responses of how they felt in terms of their own mentoring skills. And some mentioned that they would like to have a mentor themselves, not so much of a supervisor, but more of a senior colleague that could maybe give them feedback on how they're mentoring their students, maybe reviewing documents that they review for their students, maybe just sort of talking through things that they do to support their students. Again, this would be a senior colleague, not a supervisor. And the faculty participants were very clear on that, really being a senior colleague as opposed to a supervisor, that mentoring, sort of mentoring for them would be helpful. Other faculty mentioned things like having a place like an online forum or something where they might be able to share tips and thoughts with other colleagues on strategies that support their students. And some mentioned just receiving additional training. There was a wide variety of how much training they've received or not received, and some mentioned that they would like to have some training on some additional topics, specifically things like statistics or quantitative methodology that maybe they don't get to use a lot in their day-to-day work. So as I mentioned, we are still working on analyzing some of our results. This is sort of our initial results though. So we're very excited to continue in this path of research and how we can better support our virtual online doctoral students. If you have any questions or comments or just anything you'd like to follow up with us, feel free to contact us, and I've provided our email addresses here, so feel free to do that. Thank you so much for joining us today.